Tomorrow, folks, we've got a great one for you. Jerry Lewis in Which Way to the Front. And we've got Son of Lassie on Friday. Stars June Lockhart and Peter Lawford. A great movie there. And we've got $16,000 phone calls, gerbil races, and more. And, of course, before I go, I want to remind you that TV announcers, game show hosts, and Snow is a lot alike. There are no two flakes identical. Have a good one tomorrow. I hope you meet me right back here at the $16,000 movie.
Good evening, I'm Nolan Johannes.
And I'm Karen Harch. There are new developments tonight in the water problems affecting parts of Lackawanna and Luzerne counties. We'll tell you what happened today, who's affected, and now who's not affected.
Those stories and others, plus a change in the weather and a big sports honor for an area team. Next on Newswatch 16.
wnep-tv presents another college football sports special. The Fighting Irish of Notre Dame will battle it out with Doug Flutie and the Boston College Eagles in the Liberty Bowl, live from Memphis, Tennessee. Live college football action begins Thursday night at 8 o'clock. Notre Dame versus Boston College in the Liberty Bowl, right here on wnep-tv 16.
The brides are coming to WNEP. In your car, listen to Newswatch 16 on WKRZ AM 1340.
Proud to serve northeastern and central Pennsylvania. This is WNEP 16, the news station. Now, Nolan Johannes, Karen Harch, pilot Jack Rulin in Skycam 16, Chief Meteorologist Tom Clark, and Joe Zone on sports. This is Newswatch 16.
Good evening. It'll be weeks before thousands of people in our area can turn on a faucet and take a drink of water. The people who live in the area of the parts of Lackawanna and Luzerne counties that you'll be able to see from Skycam 16 in just a few seconds have been told that there is a possible problem with their drinking water. And now officials say that those people will face that problem for quite a while. We've told you that officials are worried about a spread of a disease called giardiasis. It's believed beaver waste has put a parasite in the Spring Brook Reservoir, and that parasite may cause the sickness in Pennsylvania Gas and Water Company customers who are served by the reservoir. Giardiasis produces chronic flu-like symptoms, including diarrhea and serious cramps. We have team coverage ahead, but first, Karen Harch is standing by at the State Health Department's office in Kingston. Karen?
Nolan, we've got the very latest list of the areas where people are being asked to boil their drinking water. Now, first of all, 2 new communities have been added to the list for the first time: West Wyoming and Luzerne Borough. If you live in West Wyoming or Luzerne Borough, you're being asked to boil your drinking water. In other areas, there have been changes. In Old Forge, only sections east of Kaiser Avenue and Back Road and south of Corcoran and Butler Streets are under the boil order. In Avoca, only areas north of Vine Street are on the list. In Pittston Township, it's only areas on the river side of the bypass that are included. In Swearsville, the area from 44th up to Back Road and Main Street is the only area still affected. Now, these other areas remain on the list unchanged: Moosic, Duryea, Pittston City, the Port Blanchard, Port Griffith, and Sebastopol sections of Jenkins Township, Exeter Borough, West Pittston, Wyoming, 44th, and Kingston. But there's some good news for DuPont residents. They've been dropped from the list. And I'll have more from the State Health Department in a moment. Nolan?
Karen, there was a news conference late this afternoon. Newswatch 16's Bob Costantini was there when officials updated that list and gave us an idea of how long the water problem is expected to last.
At an afternoon news conference, officials from the Department of Environmental Resources and Pennsylvania Gas and Water Company said why the list of affected areas was revised just today.
Because of the holidays and the difficulty in getting people together, this is the first day that we were able to get together again to continue looking at that distribution system and making as many good, sound judgments as we could.
Over the holiday weekend, more confirmed cases of giardiasis were reported to the State Department of Health.
I'll give you an example. Friday alone, I got 13 calls, 13 cases called in to me. Today, so far, 7.
Healy says he has heard of no confirmed fatal cases of giardiasis. Environmental officials still believe the problem with the water coming from Spring Brook Reservoir can be traced to beavers. To find the cause and stop the spread of giardiasis in the reservoir will require many tests. That means people will have to keep boiling their drinking water or get it bottled for a while.
We're into a cycle of gathering samples that means we're talking weeks, not days.
How many weeks? Well, state officials point to a similar outbreak of giardiasis out in McKean County near Pittsburgh. There, people couldn't drink unboiled tap water for more than 5 weeks. Bob Costantini, Newswatch 16, Avoca.
People may be asking tonight, is there a way to prevent this parasite from getting into a water supply so we wouldn't have to suspect the water in the first place? Newswatch 16's Bob Reynolds is here now to tell us, yes, there is. Bob?
Well, Nolan, I spent about an hour and a half today talking with officials of the Environmental Protection Agency. EPA says there are no special filters installed at the Spring Brook Reservoir. If they did, 9 out of every 10 parasites could be destroyed, thus reducing the chances for infection. But Pennsylvania Gas and Water Company says it has no plans on installing such a system. It believes that eliminating the beavers from its reservoir will solve the problem. The beavers are suspected of carrying the parasite.
But as far as I can see right now, the elimination of the beaver has been the solution to other problems in other areas in the past and should solve our problem also.
But an official of the Pennsylvania Game Commission disagrees.
It's not a matter of whether or not we take them out today and they'll be gone forever. Chances are they'll come back as long as there's food available for them and they have good habitat. Basically, they'll come in from some other part of the county.
Even the State Department of Environmental Resources says that once the parasite problem is cleared up, it could crop up again. And Pennsylvania Gas and Water Company should at least look at the possibility of installing filters.
The department likes to see as much protection in the population as possible. We would be looking at filtration at least to be discussed and evaluated by the department and the company as a reasonable alternative.
Now, it's important to point out that the government cannot force Pennsylvania Gas and Water Company to install the special filters, but public opinion may have an effect. One environmental official I talked to says it's up to the people to decide if you want to pay for such a system, and is the price worth the extra protection and the peace of mind. Nolan?
Thank you, Bob. We told you, as we told you earlier, health officials are working right now to gather more information on the water problem. So let's go back to Karen Harch in Kingston to see how that is being done. Karen?
Nolan, officials here at the State Health Department's offices in Kingston are doing a phone survey. Now, the woman you see behind me is one of 6 people that are making the calls. They've randomly picked 320 names out of the telephone book. Half of those people live in the affected areas, half do not. Officials are asking the people questions like where do they live, what their water source is, how many people are in their household, and who is sick. If anyone in the home has the symptoms of giardiasis, they're told to see their doctor for treatment. This disease does not go away without treatment, so if you have the symptoms, please see a doctor.
Hello, this is Mr. Reister from the Pennsylvania Department of Health in Kingston calling. We're doing a telephone survey regarding the giardiasis problem we're experiencing in our public water supplies in the area.
Now, the whole point of the survey is to back up the State Health Department's theory that the water at the Spring Brook Reservoir is indeed the cause of the 45 laboratory-confirmed cases of giardiasis. Over 100 others have called this department so far with the symptoms. The survey will probably be finished by tomorrow morning, and the results will be known Thursday. The survey still won't say for sure if the water is the cause, but it will tell us that the chances of it being anything but the water are very slim. Those of you in the affected areas are still being warned to boil your water before drinking it, because I'm told that giardiasis is a very painful illness, so why take the chance of getting it? While these workers are taking their poll, we want to take another of our Newswatch 16 phone surveys. Now, here's the question we're asking you tonight. Are you satisfied with the way public officials are handling the water problem? To vote yes, you are satisfied, call 1-900-210-3440. That's 1-900-210-3440. To vote no, to say you're not happy with the way officials are handling the water problem, call 1-900-210-3444. That's 1-900-210-3444. We'll repeat these numbers for you later on in the newscast, and we'll have the results of this admittedly unscientific poll tonight on Newswatch 16 Update. And another note, it costs you 50 cents each time you cast your vote. Nolan?
Okay, thank you, Karen. As we've been telling you, health officials suspect that the giardiasis may be coming from PG&W Spring Brook Reservoir in Lackawanna County. Waste from beavers living there is suspected of carrying the parasite that causes that chronic, severe flu-like symptoms. But as Newswatch 16's Dan Fiorucci reports, the Pennsylvania Game Commission points to human waste as the cause.
Walk through the forest near the Spring Brook Reservoir and you'll see evidence of beaver everywhere. On the reservoir itself, there are beaver dams like this. And alongside it, there are trees which the animals have gnawed down. According to PG&W, beaver are responsible for the current water parasite problems. But there is strong evidence to suggest that the real culprit may be man.
I think we're looking at possibility of having some septic systems somewhere along the line drain into this watershed that could create the problem.
Rich Fagan works for the Pennsylvania Game Commission.
Beaver can contract and act as a host for this particular parasite, but it definitely comes from man.
Some Fish and Game officials suspect the current parasite problems actually began early in the month when heavy rains caused runoff that flooded the Susquehanna River. Those same rains caused runoff near the Spring Brook Reservoir, an area where there are a lot of houses with septic tanks and no sewage treatment plants.
All of the feeder streams that collect or go into these watershed ponds and impoundments are definitely going to run through front yards, backyards, wherever septic systems happen to be. And I think it's inevitable that it can happen that way.
There is no firm evidence linking septic tanks with the current water problems, but according to Fish and Game officials, the threat of parasite contamination of reservoirs won't go away until something is done about septic tanks near watersheds. Dan Fiorucci, Newswatch 16 at the Spring Brook Reservoir.
In Pittston Township, one big user of water is going dry, at least temporarily. The Coca-Cola bottling plant usually shuts down for 2 weeks in January, but this year they've moved up that closing to today. Coca-Cola officials have been told they're probably not in the affected area. Their water is probably safe to use, but they say they're not taking any chances. Coming up, we'll be going back to Karen Harch for more on that water situation tonight. But first, meteorologist Tom Clark will be going out to the backyard for his snowy forecast.
Yeah.
Tom, what's it like out there right now?
Nolan, we haven't had temperatures above freezing in 5 days, but I think we will tomorrow because another big storm is heading our way. And I'll talk about that from the backyard when we come back.
Enjoy a winter wonderland!
We have this late, not correction, but add, more or less, on that water warning list that we read, that Karen Harch read for you earlier. We left out the name of Hughstown. We want you to know that Hughstown is on the list of those localities that should be boiling their water. Hughstown is on that list in all areas of Hughstown except those in higher elevations. And, of course, we will be repeating that list, the additions, the corrections, and who's on that list tonight on the update at 11 o'clock. Now it's time to go outside in that backyard and see that Tom's, well, you're not shivering as much as I expected, and from what I've been hearing about over the weekends.
You can't hear my knees knocking tonight, Nolan. It's not too bad out here. We have partly cloudy skies overhead and a few icicles hanging off the eave of the roof. And big storm coming tomorrow, folks. I'll show you why in just a moment. The Newswatch 16 holiday house for tonight is not too far from here. It's over in Old Forge, and it belongs to Dan Donovan. And he lives on Music Road. And he has a snowman out there. You know, a snowman keeps his money in a snowbank. Do you know that? And he's got a lot of lights around the house as well. Looks pretty good. Look at the temperature outside now in my backyard. 22 degrees on the old thermometer. The humidity 50%. The wind southwest at 9. And the barometer is holding steady at 30.19 inches. Range in temperature today, 23 on the top sides. Felt almost good out there today. How about it? The low this morning was about 8 degrees, and the record's 57 and 3 below back in 1914. Let's go out and look from outer space, 22,000 miles over the equator, and we can see a lot of cloudiness across the country, but I could not find any sub-zero temperatures across the entire nation this afternoon. The coldest temperature about 7 above in Fargo, North Dakota. So the bitter cold air has moved up northward into Canada, and but the latest death toll attributed to the cold wave, which began about 10 days ago, stands at 290, and it has been severe. Ice in Dixie tonight. Down in Florence, Alabama, they had an ice accumulation of about 3/4 of an inch from a storm system developing down that way. Lots of ice and snow and freezing rain now as far north as Tennessee. It's all happening because of warm, moist air returning northward from the Gulf of Mexico ahead of a storm system now developing over Texas. And winds in the upper atmosphere will track that storm right up to Pennsylvania during the day tomorrow, and we will have a concoction of icy precipitation here beginning tomorrow morning. Now here's the forecast for tonight. Cloudy skies for the most part, just a few snow flurries around. That won't give us any problem. Low temperatures bottoming out up there in Halstead and Susquehanna County at 15 degrees. The low in West Pittston tonight, 18. Also in Lehighton, Danville, 19 degrees up there in Canton, about the middle teens for a low tonight. Now here's tomorrow. Snow beginning in the morning hours. It will change over to sleet and freezing rain, and then rain in the afternoon. Some of that rain could be quite heavy, and the wind will pick up, and there'll be some dense fog in the mountains. A lovely day coming tomorrow. 35 in Carbondale. Look at that, above freezing Wilkes-Barre, 37 degrees, 38 in Penargil down there in Northampton County. Icy spots on the highways likely by midday tomorrow, about 35 in Jersey Shore and 39 in Middleburg tomorrow. Take a look at your health watch. Resistance to aches and pains low, and the weather will do nothing for your mood tomorrow. So think positive. Okay, here we go. The flurries tonight, 18 degrees. The snow coming in between about 7 and 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. No more than about an inch or two of snow tomorrow, so accumulations will be light. Then the sleet and freezing rain will change into plain old rain by late in the day, and some of the rain could be heavy, possibly heavy enough to produce some minor flooding in low-lying areas and in some small streams, but no severe flooding is expected. The rain into tomorrow evening, and then maybe changing over to snow on Thursday, about 32 degrees, colder on Friday, but then moderating once again over the weekend. Nolan will update the progress on that storm tonight at 11.
Okay, Tom, thank you. It looks like a heat wave coming. Coming up, we'll give you those phone numbers to call for our telephone survey on whether or not you're satisfied about official action on the water problem. And in sports, what a way to end the high school football year. Tim Karlson tells us about Berwick's big honor when we come back.
Mrs. Claus and I would like to show you a few ways your Red Cross contribution spreads love all through the year. In every season, in many ways, your Red Cross chapter must be ready to serve you.
Please join us in supporting this year's Red Cross holiday campaign.
Well, Joe Zone's at home playing with his little guy, you know, 2 years old.
Having a good time.
A heap of trouble just like his dad, but Tim, we're glad to see you here.
Yeah, and I have some great news right now. This being the holiday season, why not, huh? It's always a great thing to be #1 at what you do, especially when you're #1 in the entire country. Today, it became official in USA Today, the nationwide daily newspaper. The Berwick Bulldogs are the top high school football team in the country. The paper's Super 25 poll final rankings had Berwick on top for good reasons. They won the Eastern Conference Class A title over North Pocono in impressive fashion, the action you see here. And how about this? In 52 quarters of football, Berwick was only scored on twice, both times in the fourth period, posting 11 shutouts. All that made up an undefeated 13-0 season. George Curry, the Bulldogs head coach, also named National Coach of the Year by USA Today. His teams in the last 3 years have gone 37-1. Channel 16 and all of Northeast Pennsylvania say, way to go, Berwick, and congratulations to the kids and to Coach Curry for an outstanding achievement in sports. The big week of high school basketball tournaments continues tonight. The granddaddy, of course, the Linnet in Scranton. Last night, Michael Norton, you'll see him here in white with 2 of his 34 points to lead Scranton Central to a win over last year's champion Bishop Hannon. And a balanced attack, the key for Scranton Prep's win over Scranton Tech in Game 2. Tonight, in the consolation at 6, Bishop Hannon meets Scranton Tech. In a semifinal at 7:30, Scranton Central takes on Scranton Prep. And 2 teams with first-round byes meet up in the 9 o'clock game, Old Forge and Sacred Heart. And no less than 20 other tournaments tonight, 20 involving other area teams, all the scores on the update. One more note in sports today, not a very good one, sorry to say. Maury Wills, remember Maury, the great shortstop with the Los Angeles Dodgers? And, of course, managing as of late with the Seattle Mariners, although he didn't do very well. Well, unfortunately, things aren't going very well for Maury right now. He was arrested in Los Angeles this afternoon driving a stolen vehicle. So he's been arrested for grand theft auto. He may have, and the police say they may have found cocaine in his possession at the time that he was arrested. Maury Wills arrested today in L.A. for grand theft auto. All the scores and more tonight on the Update, Nolan. We hope you'll be here for that.
Okay, that's a tragic story to end the sports.
Yeah, it is.
With
It is.
Somebody
But
got into trouble.
nice to hear about Berwick being number one.
All right, fine. Thank you very much, Tim. Next, we'll be giving you the latest information on the water warning.
Plus, I'll give you those numbers for our telephone survey when we come back.
How high will you try? $16,000 can be yours weekdays at 4.
Taking one last look now at tonight's top story, the ban on drinking water from the Spring Brook Reservoir in Lackawanna County. Tonight, 2 new towns were added to the list of places where a boil your drinking water order is in effect: West Wyoming and Luzerne Borough. The other areas on the list remain unchanged: Moosic, Duryea, Pittston City, the Port Blanchard, Port Griffith, and Sebastopol sections of Jenkins Township, along with Exeter Borough, West Pittston, Wyoming, 44, Kingston, and Hughstown. Dropped from that list, and good news for DuPont residents. They are dropped from the list. They will no longer have to boil their water. And that's it for that. But we're told tonight also that it'll be a month before the disease problem can be solved. Karen?
And Owen, we want to repeat the question and the phone numbers for tonight's Newswatch 16 telephone poll. Here's the question once again. Are you satisfied with the way public officials are handling the water problem? To vote yes, you are satisfied. Call 1-900-210-3440. To vote no, you're not happy. Call 1-900-210-3444. A call to either number will cost you 50 cents. We'll have the results of this admittedly unscientific telephone survey tonight at 11. And that is our report for now. Join us tonight on the Update when we will have the results of that telephone poll and more on the water problems. Nolan?
Karen, World News Tonight is next from ABC, and of course we will be back with the Update with Karen Harch, myself, and the entire team. So we thank you for being with us tonight, and we ask you to enjoy your evening.